Elena Martinez never imagined that the same man who once told her she would amount to nothing would one day see her face gracing the cover of Forbes magazine. At 29, she had built a tech empire from her small apartment in Portland, but the journey to that moment began with three crushing words that nearly destroyed her self-worth forever. If you have ever been told you weren't good enough by the people who were supposed to believe in you most, this story will resonate deeply with your soul. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Growing up in the suburbs of Phoenix, Arizona, Elena Martinez lived in a household where success was measured in very traditional terms. Her father, Roberto Martinez, had immigrated from Mexico at age 16 with nothing but determination and a fierce work ethic that eventually led him to become the owner of three successful auto repair shops across the city. By the time Elena was born, Roberto had achieved what he considered the American dream, complete with a sprawling ranch-style home, luxury cars, and enough money to send his children to private schools. Roberto's story was one of grinding perseverance through manual labor, 12-hour days covered in grease and oil, slowly building his reputation as the most reliable mechanic in Phoenix. His hands bore the permanent stains of his trade, and his back carried the weight of years spent hunched over engines. To him, real work meant tangible results, something you could touch and see. Success meant owning property, employing people, and building something concrete that would last for generations. Elena's mother, Carmen, had met Roberto when she was working as a receptionist at a law firm downtown. She was intelligent and articulate, with dreams of becoming a paralegal, but those ambitions gradually faded as she took on the role of supporting Roberto's growing business empire. By the time Elena and her younger brother Diego were born, Carmen had transformed into the perfect business partner's wife, managing the books for the repair shops while maintaining their household with meticulous precision. The Martinez family dynamic revolved entirely around Roberto's vision of success. Diego, 3 years younger than Elena, seemed naturally inclined toward the mechanical world that fascinated their father. From age 8, Diego could be found in the garage, eagerly absorbing Roberto's lessons about engines, transmissions, and the intricacies of automotive repair. Roberto's eyes would light up when Diego correctly diagnosed a problem or successfully completed a repair task. Here was his legacy, his successor, the son who would carry on the Martinez name in the automotive world. Elena, however, represented a puzzle that Roberto could never quite solve. While Diego got his hands dirty with engine parts, Elena gravitated toward books, computers, and abstract concepts that seemed to have no practical application in Roberto's concrete world. She spent hours reading about technology, teaching herself basic programming languages from library books, and dreaming about possibilities that existed far beyond Phoenix's repair shops. When Elena was 12 years old, she convinced her parents to let her take a computer programming class at a local community college that offered weekend courses for advanced students. Roberto reluctantly agreed, viewing it as a harmless hobby that might teach her some basic office skills. However, when Elena began talking excitedly about algorithms, software design, and digital innovation, Roberto's tolerance quickly evaporated. The defining moment in Elena's relationship with her father occurred during her sophomore year of high school. She had spent months working on a project for the state science fair, developing a basic inventory management system that could help small businesses track their parts and supplies more efficiently. Elena had taught herself advanced programming concepts, spent countless evenings debugging code, and created something she was genuinely proud of. The night before the science fair, Elena excitedly demonstrated her program to her family, explaining how it could revolutionize small business operations. She had even tailored the demonstration specifically to show how it could benefit automotive repair shops, hoping to bridge the gap between her interests and her father's world. Roberto watched in silence as Elena clicked through screens, explaining algorithms and database structures with the passion of someone who had found their calling. When she finished, breathless with excitement and anticipation, Roberto leaned back in his chair and delivered the words that would echo in Elena's mind for years to come. Elena, this is not real work. Playing with computers, making pretty pictures on screens, this is not how you build a life. You think because you can make some lights blink on a machine, you are going to be successful? Let me tell you something, Mija. The world needs people who can fix things, who can build things with their hands. This computer nonsense, it is worthless. And if you keep chasing these fantasies instead of learning real skills, you will be worthless too. The silence that followed was deafening. Carmen looked uncomfortable but said nothing, unwilling to challenge her husband's harsh assessment. Diego stared at his plate, clearly sympathetic to his sister, but too young to intervene. Elena felt as though the ground had opened beneath her feet, swallowing not just her project, but her entire sense of identity and purpose. That night, Elena lay in her bed replaying her father's words, feeling the sting of his dismissal cutting deeper with each repetition. The inventory system she had been so proud of suddenly seemed trivial and childish. The hours she had spent learning programming languages felt like wasted time. Most devastating of all was the casual way Roberto had equated her interests with worthlessness, as if her passion for technology was not just misguided, but fundamentally valueless. The science fair the next day felt surreal. Elena's project won first place in the computer science category, earning her a scholarship to a prestigious summer programming camp. Teachers and judges praised her innovation, her technical skills, and her potential for future success in technology fields. But as Elena stood on the auditorium stage, holding her blue ribbon and scholarship certificate, all she could hear were her father's words echoing in her mind. When she returned home with her awards, Roberto glanced at the ribbon and certificate with indifference. "That is nice, Mija," he said without looking up from his newspaper, "but awards from school do not pay bills or build businesses. When you are ready to learn something useful, let me know." From that moment forward, Elena's relationship with her father became increasingly strained. Roberto continued to pour attention and resources into Diego's mechanical education, paying for advanced automotive courses and eventually bringing him into the business as a part-time employee. Meanwhile, Elena's achievements in computer science and mathematics were met with polite disinterest at best and active discouragement at worst. During her junior year of high school, Elena's computer science teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, pulled her aside after class. "Elena, you have exceptional talent in programming and systems design. Have you thought about applying to schools with strong computer science programs? With your grades and portfolio, you could probably get significant scholarship money." The suggestion both thrilled and terrified Elena. She had dreamed of studying computer science at a prestigious university, but Roberto had made it clear that he expected her to attend Arizona State University locally and study something practical like business or accounting. The idea of pursuing her passion felt simultaneously exhilarating and impossible. That evening at dinner, Elena tentatively broached the subject of applying to out-of-state schools for computer science programs. Roberto's reaction was immediate and decisive. "Absolutely not. You are not going to waste money chasing fantasies when you could get a perfectly good education here in Phoenix. And you are certainly not going to study this computer nonsense when you could learn skills that will actually help you get a real job. If you want to go to college, you will study business or accounting, something that will prepare you to contribute to the family enterprises." Carmen tried to mediate, suggesting that perhaps Elena could minor in computer science while majoring in business, but Roberto shut down the discussion entirely. "This conversation is over. Elena will study something practical, and that is final." Elena's senior year of high school was marked by a growing sense of isolation within her own family. While her classmates excitedly discussed college applications and future plans, Elena felt trapped between her father's expectations and her own aspirations. She continued to excel in her computer science courses, but each achievement felt hollow without family support or recognition. The breaking point came during Elena's high school graduation party. Roberto had invited extended family, friends, and business associates to celebrate both Elena's graduation and Diego's completion of his automotive certification program. As the evening progressed, Roberto spent considerable time talking about Diego's future role in the family business, his natural mechanical abilities, and his bright prospects in the automotive industry. When someone asked about Elena's plans, Roberto's response was both casual and crushing. "Elena will study business at ASU. She has had some silly ideas about computers, but she is finally ready to focus on something realistic. We have tried to be patient with her hobbies, but it is time for her to grow up and learn how the real world works."
Standing nearby, Elena felt the familiar sting of her father's dismissal, but this time something was different. Instead of the usual shame and self-doubt, she felt a spark of anger and determination. As she watched Roberto dismiss her achievements and belittle her interests in front of people she had known her entire life, Elena made a decision that would change the trajectory of her life forever. She would prove him wrong, not just about her chosen field, but about her potential, her worth, and her ability to succeed on her own terms. The path ahead was unclear, and the challenges were daunting, but Elena Martinez was no longer willing to accept her father's limited vision of her future. The summer before college, Elena worked double shifts at a local retail store, saving every penny she could while secretly researching computer science programs and scholarship opportunities. She applied to several schools without her parents' knowledge, using her earnings to pay application fees and arranging for transcripts and recommendation letters to be sent directly to admissions offices. When the acceptance letters began arriving, Elena hid them in her bedroom, afraid to hope but unable to stop herself from dreaming. The most significant letter came from Portland State University, offering her not only admission to their highly regarded computer science program, but also a full scholarship based on her academic achievements and programming portfolio. The night before she was supposed to register for classes at Arizona State University, Elena finally found the courage to tell her parents about Portland State and her decision to pursue computer science despite their objections. The conversation took place in the family's living room, with Roberto in his favorite chair and Carmen nervously perched on the edge of the sofa. "I know you want me to study business," Elena began, her voice trembling but determined. "But I have been accepted to Portland State University with a full scholarship to study computer science. This is my passion, my talent, and my future. I am going to Portland." Roberto's reaction was explosive. He accused Elena of being ungrateful, irresponsible, and delusional. He threatened to cut off all financial support, to remove her from the family's health insurance, and to consider her no longer part of the Martinez family if she insisted on pursuing what he called this computer fantasy. "You think you know better than your father?" Roberto shouted, his face red with anger. "You think these computer games are going to make you successful? Let me tell you what will happen, Elena. You will waste 4 years of your life playing with machines, and then you will come back here with nothing to show for it except debt and disappointment. Mark my words, mija, this path you are choosing will lead to nothing but failure and regret." Carmen tried to calm the situation, suggesting that perhaps they could discuss the matter more rationally in the morning, but Roberto was beyond reason.
"There is nothing to discuss," he declared. "If Elena wants to throw away her future on worthless nonsense, she can do it without my support or blessing." The next morning, Elena packed 2 suitcases with her most essential belongings and took a Greyhound bus to Portland, leaving behind everything familiar to chase a dream her father had labeled worthless. As the Arizona desert disappeared outside her window, Elena felt simultaneously terrified and exhilarated. She was 19 years old, completely on her own, and about to begin the journey that would either validate her father's harsh predictions or prove them spectacularly wrong. During her first weeks at Portland State, Elena struggled with loneliness, financial stress, and the constant echo of her father's words. She worked 20 hours a week at the campus library while taking a full course load, lived on ramen noodles and peanut butter sandwiches, and fought off moments of doubt when her father's voice would whisper that maybe he had been right after all. But as Elena immersed herself in advanced programming courses, data structures, and software engineering principles, she began to discover not just her academic capabilities, but her innovative instincts. Her professors quickly recognized her unusual combination of technical skills and creative problem-solving abilities. By the end of her freshman year, Elena had been invited to join a research project developing mobile applications for small businesses. The research project became Elena's first real glimpse into the commercial potential of technology solutions. Working with graduate students and faculty members, she helped develop a prototype application that could help restaurants manage inventory, track sales, and analyze customer preferences in real time. The application was elegant, user-friendly, and addressed genuine business challenges in ways that traditional methods could not match.
As Elena watched restaurant owners test the prototype and express genuine excitement about its potential impact on their operations, she began to understand something that her father had missed entirely. Technology was not worthless abstraction or meaningless play with machines. It was a powerful tool for solving real problems, creating value, and building businesses that could scale far beyond anything achievable through purely physical labor. During her sophomore year, Elena's confidence grew alongside her technical abilities. She began freelancing as a web developer, taking on small projects for local businesses while maintaining her academic excellence. The money was modest, but the experience was invaluable. Each successful project reinforced Elena's belief that she had chosen the right path, despite her father's dire predictions. The real breakthrough came during Elena's junior year, when she identified a significant gap in the market for inventory management software designed specifically for small automotive repair shops. Having grown up around her father's businesses, Elena understood the unique challenges these shops faced in tracking parts, managing customer information, and coordinating complex repair schedules. Working nights and weekends, Elena developed a comprehensive software solution that addressed these specific needs with elegant simplicity. Her program could track inventory levels, automatically reorder parts when supplies ran low, manage customer histories and preferences, schedule appointments efficiently, and generate detailed reports for business analysis. The software was everything her high school science fair project had aspired to be, but refined through years of advanced education and practical experience. Elena knew she had created something genuinely valuable, something that could transform how small automotive businesses operated and competed in an increasingly digital marketplace. During spring break of her junior year, Elena made a decision that would test everything she believed about her abilities and her father's assessment of her chosen path. She would return to Phoenix, not to seek reconciliation or approval, but to demonstrate the practical value of her supposedly worthless computer skills by offering to implement her inventory management system in her father's shops. The homecoming was awkward and tense. Roberto greeted Elena politely but coolly, making it clear that while she was welcome in his home, he had not changed his opinion about her life choices. Diego, now a full partner in the family business, was genuinely excited to see his sister and curious about her college experiences. Elena spent her first few days in Phoenix observing operations at Roberto's 3 repair shops, taking careful notes about workflow inefficiencies, inventory challenges, and customer service bottlenecks. The problems she identified were exactly what her software had been designed to address, but she knew that demonstrating its value would require careful strategy and undeniable results. On her 4th day home, Elena approached Diego privately and explained her inventory management system. Diego, unlike their father, immediately grasped the potential benefits and agreed to let Elena implement a trial version at the newest and smallest of the 3 shops. If the system proved effective, they could present the results to Roberto as evidence of its value. Elena spent the next week working 18-hour days, customizing her software to integrate seamlessly with the shop's existing processes and training employees on its use. The results were immediately apparent. Parts ordering became more efficient, customer wait times decreased, scheduling conflicts virtually disappeared, and the shop's daily operations ran more smoothly than ever before. Diego was amazed by the transformation and convinced Roberto to visit the shop and observe the new system in action. Elena held her breath as her father walked through the facility, watching mechanics access customer histories with a few clicks, seeing inventory levels update automatically as parts were used, and observing the streamlined efficiency that her software had enabled. After 30 minutes of observation, Roberto pulled Elena aside. For a moment, she hoped that he might finally acknowledge the value of her work, perhaps even express some pride in what she had accomplished. Instead, his response was devastating in its casual dismissal. "This is nice, Elena," he said, with the same indifference he had shown her high school science fair project. "But this is just organizing information that was already available. Any decent business manager could accomplish the same results with proper procedures and discipline. You have not created anything truly valuable here, just made things slightly more convenient. This is still not real work, mija. This is still just playing with computers." Elena felt the familiar sting of her father's rejection, but this time it was accompanied by something she had never experienced before: absolute certainty that he was wrong. She had seen the dramatic improvement her system had made in the shop's operations. She had watched experienced mechanics express genuine appreciation for tools that made their work more efficient and less stressful. She had created something that solved real problems and delivered measurable value. Standing in her father's auto repair shop, surrounded by the grease and oil that represented his definition of real work, Elena realized that Roberto's inability to recognize her achievements said nothing about their objective worth and everything about his limited perspective.
She was no longer seeking his validation or approval. She was ready to build her own definition of success. That night, Elena made a decision that would set her on the path to Forbes recognition. Instead of returning to Portland for her senior year, she would take a leave of absence from school and use her remaining savings to turn her inventory management software into a commercial product. She would start her own company, build a customer base, and prove definitively that her computer skills were not just valuable, but potentially revolutionary. The conversation with her parents about this decision was brief and predictably negative. Roberto accused Elena of dropping out of school to chase another fantasy, warning her that she was throwing away her education for a pipe dream that would inevitably fail. Carmen worried about Elena's lack of business experience and urged her to complete her degree before attempting entrepreneurship. Elena listened to their concerns respectfully, but her mind was made up. "I appreciate your worries," she told them, "but I have found something I am genuinely good at, something that solves real problems for real people. I am going to build a company around this software, and I am going to prove that technology can create tremendous value when applied thoughtfully to practical challenges." Roberto's final words to Elena before she left Phoenix were a prediction that would haunt and motivate her for years to come. "Mark my words, mija, this computer business will fail, just like I told you it would. And when it does, when you have wasted your money and your time on this worthless fantasy, do not come crawling back to me expecting sympathy or support. You are choosing to ignore the wisdom of someone who has actually built successful businesses, so you will have to live with the consequences of that choice." As Elena boarded the plane back to Portland, carrying 2 suitcases and a determination that burned brighter than ever before, she made herself a promise. She would build something so successful, so undeniably valuable, so revolutionary in its impact, that even Roberto Martinez would be forced to acknowledge her worth. The journey ahead would be challenging, lonely, and filled with obstacles she could not yet imagine. But Elena was ready to prove that her father's definition of worthlessness would one day be revealed as the Forbes list's definition of extraordinary success. Elena's return to Portland in late spring marked the beginning of the most challenging period of her life. Armed with $3,000 in savings, a laptop that was already 3 years old, and an unwavering belief in her inventory management software, she faced the daunting reality of transforming a college project into a viable business. The small studio apartment she rented near downtown Portland became her headquarters, living space, and testing ground, all rolled into one cramped, poorly lit space. The first challenge Elena encountered was one she had not anticipated during her confident departure from Phoenix. Her software, while functional and effective in her father's repair shop, needed significant modifications to work across different types of businesses and varying operational structures. What had seemed like a straightforward commercialization process quickly revealed itself to be a complex web of technical challenges, market research requirements, and business development obstacles. Elena spent her first month in Portland conducting market research with an intensity that bordered on obsession. She visited dozens of small businesses across the city, from auto repair shops and plumbing companies to restaurants and retail stores, observing their inventory management processes and identifying pain points that her software could address. The research was enlightening but also overwhelming, revealing that her original program would need to be essentially rebuilt from the ground up to accommodate the diverse needs of different industries. During this research phase, Elena encountered Marcus Chen, the owner of Chen's Electronics Repair, a small shop specializing in fixing smartphones, tablets, and laptops.
Marcus had emigrated from Taiwan 5 years earlier and had built a modest but successful business through meticulous attention to detail and exceptional customer service. However, he struggled constantly with inventory management, often running out of essential parts or ordering too much of slow-moving items. Elena spent an entire afternoon observing operations at Chen's Electronics, taking detailed notes about workflow patterns, parts usage, customer interaction protocols, and scheduling challenges. Marcus was initially skeptical about Elena's intentions, assuming she was either a competitor conducting reconnaissance or a college student working on some academic project with no practical applications. When Elena explained her inventory management software and offered to customize it for his specific needs at no charge, Marcus remained doubtful but agreed to let her try. His skepticism was rooted in previous disappointing experiences with technology solutions that promised revolutionary improvements but delivered only minor conveniences at significant cost. Elena worked for 2 weeks, essentially living at Chen's Electronics during business hours and returning to her apartment each evening to code modifications and improvements. She rebuilt her software's architecture to handle the unique challenges of electronics repair, including parts compatibility matrices, warranty tracking, supplier relationship management, and customer device history maintenance. The transformation at Chen's Electronics was remarkable. Parts ordering became automated based on usage patterns and seasonal demand fluctuations. Customer wait times decreased dramatically as Marcus could instantly access device histories and parts availability. Scheduling became seamless, with the system automatically coordinating repair timelines based on parts availability and technician workload. More importantly, Marcus's monthly revenue increased by 37% within the first month of implementation, primarily due to reduced downtime, improved customer satisfaction, and elimination of costly inventory mistakes. Marcus was astonished by the results and became Elena's first paying customer, signing a monthly service agreement that provided her with enough revenue to cover basic living expenses. Word of Elena's success at Chen's Electronics spread through Portland's small business community with surprising speed. Marcus enthusiastically recommended Elena's services to other business owners, praising not just the software's effectiveness, but also Elena's willingness to customize solutions for specific industry needs. Within 3 months, Elena had 5 paying clients and a growing reputation as someone who could solve complex operational challenges through innovative technology applications. However, success brought its own set of challenges. Each new client required significant customization work, and Elena quickly realized that her one-person operation could not scale effectively using a custom development approach for every installation. She needed to develop a more systematic solution that could be adapted quickly for different industries while maintaining the personalized effectiveness that had made her initial implementations so successful. Elena spent countless nights wrestling with this scaling challenge, trying to balance standardization with effectiveness. The technical complexity was manageable, but the business implications were daunting. She needed to decide whether to focus on a specific industry vertical or develop a more generalized platform that could serve multiple market segments. The decision came unexpectedly through a conversation with Sarah Williams, owner of Williams Automotive, a shop that competed directly with one of Roberto's Phoenix locations. Sarah had heard about Elena's software through industry connections and contacted her about implementing a similar system. During their initial consultation call, Sarah mentioned that she knew Roberto Martinez by reputation and had always admired his business success.
Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story.
When Sarah learned that Elena was Roberto's daughter, her surprise was evident. "Your father has quite a reputation in automotive circles," Sarah said. "He is known for running very efficient operations. I am surprised he has not implemented your software in all his locations, if it is as effective as I have been told." Elena's explanation of her father's dismissive attitude toward technology solutions shocked Sarah. That seems short-sighted for someone with Roberto's business acumen. Technology is transforming every industry, including automotive repair. Shops that do not adapt will find themselves at a competitive disadvantage very quickly. The conversation with Sarah crystallized Elena's strategic direction.
She would focus initially on automotive repair shops, leveraging her deep understanding of the industry while building a scalable platform that could eventually expand into other verticals. Her insider knowledge of automotive operations, combined with her growing technical expertise, represented a unique competitive advantage that larger software companies could not easily replicate. Elena spent the next 4 months developing AutoFlow, a comprehensive inventory and operations management system designed specifically for automotive repair shops. The software integrated parts ordering, customer management, scheduling, invoicing, and business analytics into a seamless platform that could be implemented quickly and customized easily for different shop sizes and specialties. AutoFlow's beta testing program included 12 automotive repair shops across Oregon and Washington, ranging from single bay operations to multi-location enterprises. Elena personally oversaw each implementation, gathering feedback, identifying improvement opportunities, and refining the software based on real-world usage patterns. The results exceeded even Elena's optimistic projections. Beta test shops reported average revenue increases of 28% within the first quarter of implementation, primarily attributable to improved efficiency, reduced inventory costs, enhanced customer satisfaction, and better business intelligence for strategic decision-making. More significantly, AutoFlow's success began attracting attention from automotive industry publications and trade organizations. Elena was invited to present her software at the Pacific Northwest Automotive Trade Show, where her demonstration drew overflow crowds and generated dozens of qualified leads. The trade show presentation marked Elena's emergence from local entrepreneur to industry innovator. Her combination of technical sophistication and practical industry knowledge impressed experienced business owners who had previously been skeptical of technology solutions developed by outsiders without operational experience. Following the trade show, Elena faced a critical decision about her company's future direction. The demand for AutoFlow was growing rapidly, but her one-person operation could not handle the sales, implementation, customer support, and ongoing development requirements of an expanding customer base. She needed to either raise capital to build a proper organization or partner with an established company that could provide the resources necessary for growth. Elena chose to bootstrap her expansion rather than seek outside investment, believing that maintaining control over her company's direction was more important than accelerating growth through external funding. She used AutoFlow's growing revenue stream to hire her first employee, Janet Rodriguez, an experienced business operations manager who could handle customer relationships while Elena focused on product development and strategic planning. Janet brought 15 years of small business experience and immediately improved AutoFlow's customer service capabilities. Her background in operations management helped Elena identify additional features and services that could enhance the software's value proposition while creating additional revenue opportunities. With Janet managing daily operations, Elena was able to focus on product development and market expansion. She spent 6 months building AutoFlow 2.0, which incorporated artificial intelligence capabilities for predictive inventory management, advanced analytics for business optimization, and integration capabilities with major parts suppliers and financial systems. AutoFlow 2.0's launch coincided with Elena's decision to expand beyond the Pacific Northwest market. She had identified significant opportunities in automotive repair markets across the western United States, particularly in areas with high concentrations of independent shops that lacked access to sophisticated technology solutions. The expansion strategy required Elena to travel extensively, conducting product demonstrations, building relationships with automotive trade organizations, and establishing partnerships with regional parts suppliers and industry service providers. The travel was exhausting, but Elena found deep satisfaction in watching shop owners discover how AutoFlow could transform their operations. During a product demonstration in Denver, Elena encountered Tom Bradley, owner of Bradley Automotive and president of the Colorado Independent Automotive Association. Tom was initially skeptical about AutoFlow, having been disappointed by previous technology implementations that promised more than they delivered. Elena's demonstration was comprehensive and realistic, showing not just AutoFlow's capabilities, but also its limitations and implementation requirements. She answered Tom's technical questions with depth and specificity that demonstrated genuine expertise rather than sales rhetoric. More importantly, she provided references from existing customers who could verify her claims about AutoFlow's effectiveness. Tom agreed to a 90-day trial implementation at Bradley Automotive, with the understanding that Elena would personally oversee the installation and training process. The trial was challenging, requiring Elena to work closely with Tom's technicians and service advisors to integrate AutoFlow into their established workflows and procedures. The results at Bradley Automotive were transformative. Parts inventory turnover improved by 45%, customer satisfaction scores increased significantly, and the shop's profitability reached levels Tom had not achieved in his 15 years of ownership. More importantly, Tom became AutoFlow's most enthusiastic advocate, recommending the software to automotive associations and trade organizations throughout the Rocky Mountain region. Tom's endorsement opened doors for Elena throughout Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming. Within 18 months of the Bradley Automotive implementation, AutoFlow was serving over 200 automotive repair shops across 8 states, generating monthly recurring revenue that exceeded Elena's most optimistic projections from her early Portland days. The financial success was gratifying, but Elena found even greater satisfaction in the testimonials from shop owners whose businesses had been transformed by AutoFlow. She received dozens of emails and phone calls from customers describing how the software had reduced their stress levels, improved their work-life balance, and enabled them to focus on the aspects of automotive repair they genuinely enjoyed rather than constantly fighting administrative and operational challenges. Elena's growing reputation in automotive technology circles led to speaking invitations at major industry conferences and trade shows. Her presentations were always well attended, not just because of AutoFlow's proven track record, but because Elena brought a unique perspective that brought deep technical knowledge with genuine understanding of small business operational challenges. During a keynote presentation at the National Automotive Service Convention in Las Vegas, Elena was approached by David Park, a venture capital partner specializing in business-to-business software investments. David had been following AutoFlow's growth and was impressed by Elena's achievement in building a profitable, scalable company without external funding. David's investment proposal was substantial, offering $5 million in growth capital in exchange for a 20% equity stake in AutoFlow.
The funding would enable Elena to accelerate her expansion plans, hire additional development talent, and invest in marketing and sales capabilities that could establish AutoFlow as the dominant inventory management solution for independent automotive repair shops. Elena was intrigued by the investment opportunity, but concerned about maintaining control over AutoFlow's strategic direction and company culture. She had seen too many promising technology companies lose their focus and values after accepting venture capital, becoming obsessed with aggressive growth targets rather than sustainable customer value creation. After extensive discussions with David and careful consideration of AutoFlow's growth trajectory, Elena decided to accept a modified version of the investment proposal. She negotiated terms that provided necessary growth capital while preserving her majority ownership and operational control. The partnership would enable AutoFlow to expand more rapidly while maintaining the customer-focused approach that had driven its initial success. The venture capital investment transformed AutoFlow from a regional software company into a national industry leader. Elena used the funding to hire exceptional engineering talent, build a comprehensive customer success organization, and develop advanced features that positioned AutoFlow as the most sophisticated inventory management platform available to independent automotive repair shops. AutoFlow's customer base grew to over 1,500 shops within 2 years of the investment, spanning all 50 states and generating annual revenue that exceeded $20 million. Elena's team expanded to over 60 employees, including some of the most talented engineers and business professionals in the automotive technology sector. The company's success attracted attention from major automotive corporations and technology giants, who recognized AutoFlow's potential to revolutionize small business operations across multiple industries. Elena received numerous acquisition offers, some valued at over $100 million, but she consistently declined, believing that AutoFlow's greatest impact lay ahead rather than behind. Elena's personal transformation during this period was as remarkable as AutoFlow's business growth.
The uncertain college dropout who had left Phoenix with $3,000 and a dream had evolved into a confident, sophisticated business leader commanding respect throughout the automotive and technology industries. She spoke regularly at major conferences, served on advisory boards for several industry organizations, and mentored other entrepreneurs developing innovative business solutions. However, Elena's greatest personal validation came not from external recognition, but from the growing pile of testimonial letters from AutoFlow customers. Shop owners wrote to thank her for software that had saved their businesses, improved their family relationships by reducing work stress, and enabled them to achieve levels of success they had never thought possible. One letter from Maria Gonzalez, who owned a small shop in Tucson, particularly moved Elena. Maria wrote that AutoFlow had not only improved her shop's profitability, but had also given her the confidence to expand into a second location, hire additional employees, and become an active member of her local business community. Maria concluded by saying that Elena's software had transformed her from a struggling business owner into a successful entrepreneur who could provide better opportunities for her family and employees. Reading Maria's letter in her Portland office, surrounded by awards and accolades from industry organizations, Elena realized that she had achieved something far more significant than financial success or professional recognition. She had created technology that genuinely improved people's lives, enabled small business success, and contributed to economic vitality in communities across the country. As AutoFlow's third anniversary approached, Elena began receiving inquiries from business journalists and industry analysts who were tracking the company's remarkable growth trajectory. Several publications had identified AutoFlow as one of the fastest-growing business-to-business software companies in the United States, with revenue growth rates and customer satisfaction scores that exceeded industry benchmarks by substantial margins. The media attention was flattering, but also somewhat overwhelming for Elena, who preferred focusing on product development and customer success rather than public relations and industry recognition. However, she recognized that thought leadership and industry visibility could help AutoFlow attract top talent and establish partnerships that would accelerate the company's impact. Elena agreed to participate in several high-profile interviews and industry profiles, sharing her entrepreneurial journey and AutoFlow's mission to democratize sophisticated technology solutions for small businesses. Her story resonated strongly with both business audiences and aspiring entrepreneurs, particularly those from backgrounds that were traditionally underrepresented in technology leadership. The culmination of Elena's growing industry recognition came when she received a call from Jennifer Walsh, a senior editor at Forbes magazine who was working on a feature story about innovative entrepreneurs who were transforming traditional industries through technology applications. Jennifer had been following AutoFlow's growth and Elena's emergence as a thought leader in automotive technology. Jennifer's interview request was both thrilling and terrifying for Elena. Forbes represented the pinnacle of business journalism, and being featured in the magazine would establish her credibility and visibility at the highest levels of American business leadership. However, Elena was also acutely aware that Forbes coverage would likely reach Phoenix, where Roberto and the rest of her family would finally see concrete evidence of what she had built. Elena agreed to participate in the Forbes feature, knowing that the interview would force her to articulate not just AutoFlow's business success, but also her personal journey from dismissed daughter to industry innovator. The conversation with Jennifer was comprehensive and challenging, covering everything from Elena's early programming experiences to her strategic vision for AutoFlow's future growth. During the interview, Jennifer asked Elena about her motivation for entering the automotive technology sector, given that most software entrepreneurs focused on consumer applications or traditional business markets. Elena's response was honest and personal, describing her childhood exposure to her father's automotive businesses and her desire to prove that technology could create genuine value in traditional industries that were often overlooked by Silicon Valley innovators. When Jennifer asked about her family's reaction to her entrepreneurial success, Elena paused before answering carefully. "My family has always been supportive of hard work and business success," she said diplomatically. "I think they are beginning to understand that technology can be just as valuable as traditional business approaches when applied thoughtfully to real problems." The Forbes interview was scheduled for publication in the magazine's annual 30 Under 30 issue, highlighting young entrepreneurs who were making significant impacts in their respective industries. Elena was selected for the Enterprise Technology category, recognizing her achievement in building AutoFlow into a major force in small business software solutions. As the publication date approached, Elena felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety about how the Forbes recognition would be received by her family, particularly Roberto. She had achieved everything she had set out to prove when she left Phoenix, but she was uncertain whether external validation from America's most prestigious business publication would be sufficient to change her father's fundamental perspective about technology and her chosen career path. The Forbes issue was scheduled to hit newsstands on a Tuesday in late November, almost exactly 4 years after Elena's confrontational departure from Phoenix. She had built a company valued at over $100 million, employed dozens of talented professionals, and improved operations at hundreds of small businesses across the country. The college dropout her father had dismissed as worthless was about to be recognized as one of America's most promising young business leaders. Elena spent the weekend before publication reflecting on the extraordinary journey that had brought her to this moment. From her father's repair shop to the Forbes list represented more than professional achievement. It symbolized the validation of her fundamental belief that technology could create tremendous value when applied intelligently to practical challenges that affected real people's lives and livelihoods. As Monday evening approached, Elena realized that regardless of how her family responded to the Forbes recognition, she had already achieved the most important victory. She had proven to herself that her father's assessment of her worth had been profoundly wrong, and she had built a life and career that aligned perfectly with her values, interests, and capabilities. The worthless daughter was about to become a Forbes-recognized entrepreneur, but the real transformation had occurred not in external recognition, but in Elena's unshakable confidence in her own judgment, abilities, and vision for creating technology solutions that made meaningful differences in people's lives. As Monday evening approached, Elena realized that regardless of how her family responded to the Forbes recognition, she had already achieved the most important victory. She had proven to herself that her father's assessment of her worth had been profoundly wrong, and she had built a life and career that aligned perfectly with her values, interests, and capabilities. The worthless daughter was about to become a Forbes-recognized entrepreneur, but the real transformation had occurred not in external recognition, but in Elena's unshakable confidence in her own judgment, abilities, and vision for creating technology solutions that made meaningful differences in people's lives. Tuesday morning arrived with the crisp clarity that only November in Portland could provide. Elena Martinez stood in her corner office on the 23rd floor of the Columbia Center, watching the sunrise over the Cascade Mountains while her phone buzzed incessantly with congratulation messages. The Forbes 30 Under 30 issue had been released digitally at midnight Eastern Time, and news of her inclusion had spread rapidly through her professional and personal networks.
The magazine's digital edition featured Elena's photograph alongside a comprehensive profile that detailed AutoFlow's remarkable growth trajectory and her personal journey from dismissed college student to industry innovator. The article highlighted not only her technical achievements, but also her unique approach to understanding customer needs through deep industry immersion and her commitment to building sustainable business relationships rather than pursuing aggressive growth at any cost. Elena's assistant, Michelle Torres, knocked gently on her office door before entering with a stack of printed congratulatory messages and interview requests. "The phone has been ringing constantly since 6 this morning," Michelle reported with a smile that reflected her genuine pride in Elena's achievement. "Business Insider wants an interview this afternoon. TechCrunch is requesting a feature story about AutoFlow's expansion plans, and Inc. magazine wants to include you in their upcoming Entrepreneur Spotlight series." The media attention was overwhelming, but also validating. Elena had spent 4 years building AutoFlow with meticulous attention to customer value creation and sustainable growth, often wondering if her methodical approach would be recognized in a technology industry that frequently celebrated rapid scaling and aggressive market capture over long-term value creation. The Forbes recognition confirmed that her patient, customer-focused strategy had not only succeeded financially, but had also earned respect from the business community's most influential observers. However, the professional accolades were accompanied by a more personal anxiety that Elena had been dreading since agreeing to participate in the Forbes issue. She knew that the magazine's wide circulation and digital reach meant that her family in Phoenix would inevitably encounter the article, forcing a confrontation with Roberto's assessment of her career choices that she had been avoiding for 4 years. Elena's relationship with her family during her autoflow journey had been complicated and painful. She maintained regular contact with Diego, who had followed her entrepreneurial progress with genuine admiration and frequently shared updates about autoflow's growth with friends and colleagues in Phoenix's automotive community. Her mother, Carmen, sent occasional emails expressing cautious pride in Elena's achievements while carefully avoiding any direct criticism of Roberto's continued dismissive attitude toward her daughter's technology career. Roberto himself had maintained complete silence regarding Elena's business success. When Diego mentioned Autoflow's expansion or customer growth during family conversations, Roberto would change the subject or make vaguely dismissive comments about technology companies that lacked the permanence and substance of traditional businesses. His refusal to acknowledge Elena's achievements had become a source of growing tension within the Martinez family, creating divisions that affected every holiday gathering and family celebration. Elena had prepared herself for the possibility that even Forbes recognition might not be sufficient to change Roberto's fundamental perspective about technology and her chosen career path. However, she also harbored a deep hope that external validation from America's most prestigious business publication might finally force him to reconsider his assessment of her worth and the value of her professional contributions. The first indication that Elena's Forbes profile had reached Phoenix came through a text message from Diego at 11:30 that morning. "Holy shit, Elena, Dad just saw the Forbes article. He's been staring at his computer screen for 20 minutes without saying a word. Mom is freaking out because she doesn't know how to react. This is huge, sis. I'm so proud of you." Elena felt her heart rate accelerate as she read Diego's message. After 4 years of silence and dismissal, Roberto had finally been confronted with undeniable evidence of her success. The Forbes article included detailed financial information about Autoflow's growth, customer testimonials about the software's impact, and industry expert assessments of Elena's innovative approach to automotive technology solutions. Even Roberto's stubborn skepticism about technology would be difficult to maintain in the face of such comprehensive third-party validation. Throughout Tuesday afternoon, Elena found herself distracted during meetings and interviews, checking her phone constantly for additional updates from Diego or any direct communication from her parents. The anticipation was excruciating, made worse by her uncertainty about how she wanted Roberto to respond. Part of her craved his acknowledgement and approval, while another part had grown so accustomed to his dismissal that she almost preferred the familiar dynamic to the uncertainty of potential reconciliation. At 4:30 in the afternoon, Elena's phone rang with a call from an unfamiliar Phoenix area code. Her hands trembled slightly as she answered, expecting to hear Roberto's voice for the first time in over a year. Instead, the caller identified himself as Miguel Santos, a reporter from the Arizona Republic who was working on a local angle story about Elena's Forbes recognition. "Ms. Martinez, congratulations on your inclusion in the Forbes list," Miguel began professionally. "I'm calling because we're planning a feature story about your success and its connection to Phoenix's business community. I understand your father operates several automotive repair shops here locally. Have you had any conversations with him about how your software might benefit traditional automotive businesses in the Phoenix market?" The question was innocuous from Miguel's perspective, but Elena recognized its potential complications. She had never discussed Autoflow with Roberto directly, and she was uncertain whether he would appreciate being contacted by reporters about his daughter's business achievements. Her response was carefully diplomatic, acknowledging her Phoenix roots while avoiding any specific comments about family relationships or business discussions. After ending the call with Miguel, Elena realized that the Forbes recognition had initiated a cascade of events that would inevitably force a resolution to her years-long estrangement from Roberto. Local media coverage would make her success impossible for Phoenix's automotive community to ignore, and Roberto's position as a prominent business owner would make his relationship to Elena a matter of public interest. Wednesday morning brought Elena's first direct communication from Phoenix in the form of an email from her mother. Carmen's message was longer and more emotionally open than any previous correspondence Elena had received from her family during her entrepreneurial journey. "Elena, I read the Forbes article yesterday, and I have been crying on and off since then. Not sad tears, but tears of pride and amazement at what you have accomplished. I always knew you were special, but seeing your success described in such detail by such an important publication made me realize that I never fully understood or supported your dreams the way I should have. The article mentioned that Autoflow has helped hundreds of automotive repair shops improve their operations. I kept thinking about how this technology could benefit your father's businesses and how foolish we were to dismiss your talents and vision.
I know that your relationship with your father has been difficult, and I take responsibility for not standing up for you when you needed support. You were right to pursue your dreams, and I was wrong to let fear and tradition prevent me from encouraging you.
I hope you can forgive us and that we might find a way to rebuild our relationship. Your father has been very quiet since reading the article. I think he is processing what it means and how wrong his assessment of your career has been. I love you very much, and I am incredibly proud of what you have achieved. Love, Mom. Elena read Carmen's email 3 times, feeling a complex mixture of validation, relief, and lingering hurt. Her mother's acknowledgement meant more than she had expected, particularly Carmen's acceptance of responsibility for failing to support Elena's ambitions during their earlier conflicts. However, Elena also recognized that her mother's response, while heartfelt, did not address the deeper issues of Roberto's fundamental dismissal of her worth and capabilities. The breakthrough Elena had been both anticipating and dreading came Thursday evening in the form of a phone call from Roberto himself. Elena was working late in her office, reviewing customer feedback reports and planning AutoFlow's next feature releases, when her phone displayed her father's number for the first time in 18 months. Elena stared at the screen for several rings before answering, uncertain about what she wanted to say or how Roberto might approach the conversation. When she finally accepted the call, Roberto's voice was quieter and less confident than she remembered, lacking the authoritative tone that had characterized their previous interactions. "Elena, this is your father," Roberto began formally, as if she might not recognize his voice after their extended silence. "I am calling because I read the article about you in Forbes magazine. I wanted to talk to you about what I read and about some things I need to say." The conversation that followed was unlike any Elena had ever experienced with her father. Roberto spoke slowly and deliberately, choosing his words carefully as he acknowledged that he had been wrong about technology's potential value and Elena's capabilities as an entrepreneur and business leader. He admitted that his dismissive attitude toward her software development had been based on ignorance and fear rather than informed assessment of market opportunities and business potential. "I have spent the past 2 days learning about your company and talking to people in Phoenix's automotive community who know about AutoFlow," Roberto continued, his voice growing stronger as he spoke. "Miguel Santos from the Republic called me for a comment about your success, and I realized that I knew nothing about what you had actually accomplished. So I spent time researching your company, reading customer testimonials, and talking to shop owners who use your software." Roberto paused, and Elena could hear him taking a deep breath before continuing. "Elena, I was wrong about everything. Your software is not worthless playing with computers. It is a sophisticated business solution that creates real value for real people. The shop owners I spoke with told me that AutoFlow has transformed their operations, increased their profitability, and improved their quality of life. One man told me that your software saved his business from bankruptcy and enabled him to provide better jobs for his employees." Elena felt tears beginning to form as she listened to Roberto's unprecedented acknowledgement of her achievements. However, she remained cautious, uncertain whether this moment of recognition would translate into genuine respect for her choices and capabilities, or represent merely a temporary admission prompted by external pressure. "I understand why you are not saying much," Roberto continued, apparently recognizing Elena's wariness. "I know that I have been unfair to you, dismissive of your talents, and wrong about your chosen career. I know that my words hurt you deeply, and that my refusal to support your dreams caused damage to our relationship that may not be repairable." The conversation continued for over an hour, with Roberto asking detailed questions about AutoFlow's operations, customer base, technology platform, and growth strategy. His questions demonstrated genuine curiosity and growing understanding of Elena's business achievements, but also revealed how completely he had misunderstood the nature and potential of technology solutions for traditional industries. As their conversation progressed, Elena found herself explaining not just AutoFlow's current success, but also her broader vision for how technology could enhance rather than replace traditional business relationships and operational expertise. She described her approach to working closely with automotive professionals to understand their challenges and develop solutions that amplified rather than automated their skills and knowledge. Roberto listened intently, occasionally asking clarifying questions that showed he was processing the information seriously rather than simply waiting for an opportunity to reassert his previous skepticism.
His engagement was more thoughtful and respectful than Elena had ever experienced during their previous discussions about her career and business interests. Near the end of their conversation, Roberto made a request that surprised Elena completely. "I would like to invite you to come to Phoenix and demonstrate AutoFlow at my shops," he said carefully. "Not because I need your help, but because I want to understand what you have built and see it in action. I also want my employees and business partners to meet you and see what my daughter has accomplished." Elena was silent for several moments, processing the significance of Roberto's invitation. After 4 years of dismissal and rejection, her father was not only acknowledging her success, but actively seeking to learn from her expertise and share her achievements with his professional community. The invitation represented a complete reversal of his previous attitude and a level of respect that exceeded even Elena's most optimistic hopes for reconciliation. Elena agreed to visit Phoenix the following month, with the understanding that she would conduct comprehensive AutoFlow demonstrations at all 3 Martinez automotive locations and present her software to the Phoenix Independent Automotive Association's monthly meeting. The visit would give Roberto an opportunity to see Elena's professional capabilities firsthand, while Elena to determine whether their relationship could be rebuilt on a foundation of mutual respect and understanding. The weeks leading up to Elena's Phoenix visit were filled with careful preparation and emotional processing. She worked with her AutoFlow implementation team to develop customized demonstrations specifically tailored to Roberto's shop operations, incorporating features that would address the unique challenges and opportunities she remembered from her childhood observations of his businesses. Elena also spent considerable time in therapy sessions with Dr. Patricia Wong, a counselor who specialized in family relationship dynamics and entrepreneurial stress management. Dr. Wong helped Elena process her complex feelings about Roberto's apparent change of heart, while maintaining realistic expectations about the pace and extent of potential reconciliation. "It's important to recognize that your father's acknowledgement of your success is significant progress," Dr. Wong explained during one of their sessions.
However, changing deeply held beliefs and communication patterns takes time and consistent effort. This visit represents an opportunity for rebuilding, but it's not realistic to expect that all the hurt and misunderstanding from the past 4 years will be resolved immediately. Elena's return to Phoenix in December was emotionally charged from the moment she stepped off the plane. Diego met her at the airport, barely containing his excitement about the family reunion he had been anticipating since reading the Forbes article. During the drive to Elena's hotel, Diego filled her in on the family dynamics that had evolved since Roberto's phone conversation with Elena. "Dad has been completely different since he read that Forbes article and talked to you," Diego explained enthusiastically. "He spent weeks researching AutoFlow and reading everything he could find about business software and automotive technology. He even bought a subscription to several technology magazines and started asking me technical questions about computer systems." Diego also revealed that Roberto had been discussing Elena's success with customers and business associates, expressing pride in her achievements that contrasted sharply with his previous dismissive attitude. "Yesterday, a customer was complaining about inventory problems at his shop, and Dad actually recommended that he look into your software," Diego reported with obvious amusement. "The same man who called your work worthless is now recommending AutoFlow to other business owners." Elena's first stop in Phoenix was Roberto's original repair shop, the location where she had first demonstrated her high school inventory management system over a decade earlier. Walking into the familiar space, surrounded by the smells of motor oil and cleaning solvents that had defined her childhood, Elena felt a powerful mixture of nostalgia and nervousness about the demonstration she was about to conduct. Roberto greeted Elena formally but warmly, introducing her to his employees as "my daughter, the software entrepreneur who was just featured in Forbes magazine." The pride in his voice was unmistakable, representing a complete transformation from his previous embarrassment about Elena's career choices. Elena's AutoFlow demonstration exceeded even her own expectations for thoroughness and impact. She walked Roberto and his staff through every aspect of the software, showing how it could streamline their existing processes while providing new capabilities for business analysis and customer relationship management. Her presentation was technically sophisticated but also deeply practical, demonstrating her understanding of automotive repair operations and her respect for the skills and expertise of the technicians and service advisors.
The response from Roberto's employees was overwhelmingly positive. Master technician Carlos Mendoza, who had worked for Roberto for over 15 years, was particularly impressed by AutoFlow's parts identification and ordering capabilities. This system would eliminate most of the time we waste looking for parts information and waiting for deliveries, Carlos observed. It would let us focus on the actual repair work instead of fighting with paperwork and logistics. Service advisor Maria Lopez was excited about AutoFlow's customer history and communication features. We could provide much better service to our regular customers if we had instant access to their vehicle histories and previous repairs, Maria explained to Roberto. This software would help us build stronger relationships and identify maintenance opportunities we currently miss. Roberto watched his employees' reactions carefully, asking thoughtful questions about implementation requirements, training needs, and potential operational improvements. His engagement was genuine and respectful, treating Elena as a business professional whose expertise merited serious consideration, rather than a daughter whose career choices required paternal approval. The demonstration at Roberto's second location was equally successful, with shop manager David Ramirez immediately recognizing AutoFlow's potential to address chronic scheduling and workflow coordination challenges that had been frustrating his team for months. David's enthusiasm prompted Roberto to ask Elena about AutoFlow's scalability and integration capabilities for multi-location operations. Elena's responses revealed the depth and sophistication of her business thinking, impressing Roberto with her strategic understanding of automotive industry trends and her vision for how technology could enhance rather than threaten traditional repair shop operations. Their conversation evolved from a software demonstration into a comprehensive discussion about business strategy, market opportunities, and industry evolution. The culmination of Elena's Phoenix visit was her presentation to the Phoenix Independent Automotive Association, where Roberto served as a board member and prominent industry voice. The association meeting drew over 60 shop owners and managers, creating Elena's largest and most important AutoFlow demonstration opportunity. Elena's presentation to the Automotive Association was masterful, combining technical sophistication with deep industry knowledge and genuine respect for independent repair shop challenges. She addressed concerns about technology implementation costs, training requirements, and integration with existing business processes, while demonstrating AutoFlow's ability to deliver measurable improvements in efficiency, profitability, and customer satisfaction. The audience response was enthusiastic, with multiple shop owners requesting implementation consultations and several board members asking Elena about AutoFlow's expansion plans for the Arizona market. More significantly, Roberto publicly endorsed AutoFlow and Elena's expertise, telling the assembled business owners that his daughter had developed the most sophisticated inventory management solution he had ever encountered in his 30 years of automotive industry experience. Roberto's public endorsement was particularly meaningful because of his reputation for conservative business practices and skepticism about new technologies. His recommendation carried substantial weight with association members who respected his operational expertise and business judgment. Several shop owners approached Elena after the presentation, specifically mentioning Roberto's endorsement as a factor in their interest in AutoFlow. Following the association presentation, Roberto invited Elena to dinner at his favorite restaurant, a small, family-owned establishment where they had celebrated Diego's high school graduation years earlier. The dinner conversation was the most honest and emotionally open discussion Elena had ever experienced with her father. Roberto began by offering a comprehensive apology for his dismissive treatment of Elena's interests and career ambitions. He acknowledged that his reaction to her high school science fair project had been unfair and short-sighted, reflecting his own limitations and fears rather than any objective assessment of her capabilities or the potential value of her work. "I was wrong about technology, wrong about business opportunities, and most importantly, wrong about you," Roberto said with obvious difficulty. "I let my own narrow experience and outdated thinking prevent me from seeing your talents and supporting your dreams. I am ashamed of how I treated you, and I understand if you cannot forgive me for the hurt I caused." Elena listened to Roberto's apology with mixed emotions, appreciating his acknowledgement while still processing years of accumulated pain and rejection. She expressed her own regrets about the way their relationship had deteriorated, acknowledging that her decision to leave Phoenix without attempting further dialogue had contributed to their extended estrangement. Their conversation continued late into the evening, covering not just their personal relationship, but also Elena's business philosophy, AutoFlow's growth strategy, and her vision for technology's role in supporting rather than replacing traditional business relationships. Roberto asked thoughtful questions about Elena's leadership approach, her company culture, and her decision-making processes, demonstrating genuine curiosity about her professional development and business achievements. As dinner concluded, Roberto made a proposal that surprised Elena even more than his original phone call. "I would like to implement AutoFlow in all 3 of my shops and become your Phoenix area distributor for automotive applications," Roberto said seriously. "Not because you are my daughter, but because AutoFlow is the best business solution I have evaluated in 20 years of operation. I want to help other shop owners benefit from your innovation while learning more about technology business applications."
Elena was initially uncertain about mixing family reconciliation with business partnership, concerned that commercial relationships might complicate their personal healing process. However, Roberta's proposal also represented the ultimate validation of her professional capabilities and the practical value of her technology solutions. After extensive discussion about business structure, responsibilities, and expectations, Elena agreed to Roberto's partnership proposal with clearly defined terms and professional boundaries. Roberto would license AutoFlow for his own operations while serving as Elena's Phoenix area representative for customer development and implementation support. Their business relationship would be governed by the same standards and expectations that applied to Elena's other regional partners. Elena's final day in Phoenix was spent with her entire family, including extended relatives who had gathered to celebrate her Forbes recognition and the family reconciliation that her success had facilitated. The gathering was emotionally complex, involving apologies, explanations, and attempts to rebuild relationships that had been strained by years of misunderstanding and conflict. Carmen apologized extensively for her failure to support Elena's ambitions and for enabling Roberto's dismissive attitude toward their daughter's career choices. She acknowledged that her own fear of conflict had prevented her from advocating for Elena when she needed family support most. Carmen's recognition of her role in the family dysfunction was painful but necessary for genuine reconciliation. Diego expressed his own regrets about not being more supportive during Elena's conflicts with Roberto, acknowledging that his focus on avoiding family tension had prevented him from standing up for his sister's interests and achievements. His apology was particularly meaningful to Elena because of their close relationship and his consistent personal support for her entrepreneurial journey. The family gathering concluded with Roberto publicly expressing his pride in Elena's achievements and his regret about failing to recognize her talents earlier in her career. His acknowledgement was witnessed by aunts, uncles, and cousins who had been aware of the family conflict but uncertain about how to address it. Roberto's apology created space for other family members to express their own pride in Elena's success and their hope for restored family relationships. Elena returned to Portland with mixed emotions about her Phoenix visit and the potential for ongoing family reconciliation. Roberto's transformation was remarkable and genuine, but Elena remained cautious about the pace and sustainability of their relationship repair. Years of hurt and disappointment could not be resolved through a single visit, regardless of how successful the business demonstrations had been. However, Elena also recognized that Roberto's acknowledgement of her achievements and his respect for her professional capabilities represented a fundamental shift that created possibilities for genuine relationship rebuilding. His willingness to become her business partner demonstrated trust and confidence in her judgment that exceeded even her most optimistic expectations for their reconciliation. Over the following months, Roberto proved to be an exceptional AutoFlow partner and advocate. His implementation of the software in his 3 shops generated impressive results, with significant improvements in efficiency, customer satisfaction, and profitability that validated Elena's initial confidence in AutoFlow's automotive applications. More importantly, Roberto's enthusiastic endorsement of AutoFlow generated dozens of new customers throughout Arizona and neighboring states. Roberto also proved to be a valuable advisor for Elena's business strategy, offering insights about traditional business operations and customer relationship management that enhanced AutoFlow's feature development and market positioning. His practical experience complemented Elena's technical expertise, creating a collaborative dynamic that benefited both their personal relationship and their professional partnership. The success of Elena's Phoenix partnership led to expanded collaboration opportunities, including Roberto's participation in AutoFlow's Customer Advisory Board and his co-presentation at several automotive industry conferences.
These professional collaborations strengthens their personal relationship while demonstrating the practical value of combining traditional industry expertise with innovative technology solutions. Elena's story of family reconciliation and business validation resonated strongly within the automotive technology community, leading to speaking invitations and media interviews that established her as a thought leader in small business technology applications. Her emphasis on understanding customer needs and respecting traditional business relationships became a model for other technology entrepreneurs seeking to serve established industries. The ultimate validation of Elena's approach came when Autoflow was acquired by a major software corporation for over $200 million, establishing her as one of the youngest and most successful entrepreneurs in business-to-business technology solutions. The acquisition provided Elena with financial security while enabling Autoflow's expansion into additional industry verticals and international markets. Roberto's reaction to news of the Autoflow acquisition was one of unqualified pride and amazement. The man who had once dismissed his daughter's computer work as worthless fantasy now marveled at her achievement in building a company that major corporations valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. His transformation from skeptic to supporter represented one of Elena's most meaningful victories. Elena's Forbes recognition had initiated a journey of family healing and professional validation that exceeded even her most optimistic expectations when she first left Phoenix with $3,000 and a dream. The worthless daughter had become not just a successful entrepreneur, but also a catalyst for her family's growth and understanding. As Elena reflected on her extraordinary journey from dismissed college student to Forbes-recognized entrepreneur, she realized that her father's initial rejection had been both devastating and necessary. Roberto's harsh assessment had forced Elena to develop internal validation and self-confidence that external approval could never provide. His eventual acknowledgement was gratifying, but Elena's sense of worth was no longer dependent on his or anyone else's recognition. The little girl who had once sought her father's approval through science fair projects had evolved into a confident business leader who created value for thousands of customers while building bridges between traditional industries and innovative technology solutions. Elena Martinez had proven that worthless dreams could become invaluable realities when pursued with determination, skill, and unwavering belief in their potential. Standing in her Portland office, surrounded by industry awards and customer testimonials, Elena understood that her greatest achievement was not the Forbes recognition or the acquisition price, but the journey itself and the relationships she had rebuilt along the way. The daughter Roberto had dismissed as worthless had become the entrepreneur who helped him see new possibilities for success and growth. Elena's story concluded not with vindication over family doubters, but with reconciliation, understanding, and mutual respect that created possibilities for continued collaboration and support. The Forbes list had provided external validation, but Elena's internal transformation from seeking approval to creating value represented the true measure of her extraordinary journey from worthless daughter to invaluable entrepreneur. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.